Today's episode is brought to you by Legal Shield, because peace of mind starts with being prepared. As a parent and an advocate, I know how important it is to have access to legal support, especially when navigating the challenges of autism advocacy. With Legal Shield, you'll have 24/7 access to a dependable network of attorneys for advice on every IEP meeting and school accommodation to understand your rights as a caregiver. Also, those transitional times for guardianship and other legal matters, such as trust, wills, and other things. It is affordable and easy to use and designed to give you the tools needed to confidently face life legal challenges. Whether you are dealing with contracts, legal documents, or simply just need advice, Legal Shield is here to help. Protect your family, advocate for your loved ones, handle life's curveballs with confidence. Visit the link in the show notes below to learn more how to sign up today. Legal Shield empowers families, one step at a time. Welcome to Finding Your Identity in Your Autism Journey, the podcast where we explore complexities, breakthroughs, and unfiltered realities of lives touched by autism. I'm your host, Ruth Cassell, here to guide you through heartfelt stories, expert insights, empowering conversations. Whether you are a parent, a sibling, a grandparent, an educator, or an advocate, professional in the space, this is your space to find community. Ask the hard questions and uncover new possibilities. Let's dive in. Welcome back to Finding Your Identity in Your Autism Journey. I'm your host, Ruth Cassell, and I am so honored that you are joining me today. On this episode, we are going to be diving into the Autism Spectrum Disorder Level 2, what it means, what support might look like, and how dual levels under the DSM-5 can come into play. If you're trying to better understand Level 2 autism or navigating life with a loved one that is at this level, today's conversation will help you provide some more clarity and some actionable steps. What does Level 2 autism mean? So let's start with the basics. Under the DSM-5, autism spectrum disorder is categorized into 3 levels based on the amount of support needs in 2 key areas. And remember from the last episode, we went over level 1. It's the same levels. So the communication, the social communication, this refers to challenges in initiating and maintaining conversations, understanding social norms, and building relationships. Restrictive and repetitive behaviors. This includes sensory sensitivities, rigid to routines, intense fixations, or repetitive movements. For the level 2, the DSM-5 describes individuals as needing substantial support. This means while they may be able to function in some environments, they struggle significantly without clear and consistent help. Here is where it gets even more nuanced. In an individual, it might be at a level 2 in the social communication, but a level 3 in the restrictive, repetitive behavior. or it could be vice versa. This is what we're referring to as dual level diagnosis. So your child may have different needs in both of those areas, or they could be the same. So some real life examples of a level 2 with dual diagnosis, it's better to better to understand this. Let's imagine an individual named Kate. Kate may have some verbal communication, but struggles to use language functionally in a social context. She may be able to say, "I want a drink," but finds it difficult to have back and forth conversations or to pick up on subtle social cues. This places her at a level 2 in her social communication because she needs substantial support to engage socially. At the same time, Kate might have an extreme, intense sensory need. For example, loud noises, and it could send her into a meltdown right away. She might need have a very rigid routine that, if it's disrupted, can lead to significant distress. Her restrictive and repetitive behaviors might place her at a level 3 because her needs are very substantial supported in this area. So this is why I like the term different needs, and instead of saying high functioning or low functioning, it's the needs, what they need. So this dual level profile underscores why it's so important to access each area of the DSM-5 on its criteria and look at it separately. Here's another example. Joey has level 2 diagnostic in both areas. So he's a level 2 in the social communication and also the repetitive behavior, restrictive repetitive behavior. He also has that in both areas. So he's a 2-2. This child may have limited speech, or they may even heavily rely on visual supports like picture cards or maybe even an AAC device, and exhibit, repetitive behaviors like rocking or maybe hand flapping, or even to self-regulate them. The key takeaway here is that the level 2 individual is often falls into a middle ground where they require clear and consistent support, but they also have areas of potential growth and independence with the right interventions in place. So how do we support someone at a level 2, especially when levels are involved, when we have the dual levels? So I'm going to break down some actionable steps here. So 1, we're going to support that social communication support. It can be things like AAC, which AAC stands for Augmented and Alternative Communication. You can introduce tools like Proloquo to Go or LAMP. I'm also going to link a couple of these in there. Now, Proloquo and LAMP, and I forget there's another one, but in April and in October of every year, they are 50% off. I will be sharing their links in the show notes for those time frames. But we are going to have an episode just on AAC, and we'll go more into depth on the AAC device there. So as long as you're getting the words for life to help them in functional communication, and then you're going to look at this would also help learn the device as well. Looking at the social narratives and scripts, so you're going to use tailored stories or scripts to help prepare them for social situations, like going to birthday parties or going to the dentist or the doctor, trying to desensitize them and help them manage those social interactions better. I'm going to do small group interventions. You would roll them into individual, like, social group classes, so peers who understand and respect their unique needs. And that is something that is very helpful for the child to grow self-esteem, as long as they have the peers with them that understand them and want to see them successful too. So 2, when it comes to the restrictive and repetitive behavior support, sensory diet. Work with the occupational therapist to create a sensory diet that incorporates calming activities like swings and deep pressures, hugs, fidget toys, things like that. Also, visual schedules. Provide a clear and it's a visual representation of the day's routines and events that reduces anxiety around transitions. When changes are unavoidable, introducing them slowly and pairing them with positive reinforcement. This will help in the future when something doesn't go away. At least you can resort back to the positive reinforcement. And if they've had some exposure about you doing it, the gradual changes, this will get easier over time. Collaborating and advocate. IEP meetings. Be specific about requesting accommodations, such as sensory breaks, access to AAC devices. You would think that would both would be easy accommodational, but sometimes they're not. Or the one-on-one support. Therapeutic teams. So build a team of professionals, including a speech therapist, OT, PT, behavioral specialist, your pediatrician, to address both the communication and sensory needs. Parent training programs. Participate in programs that teach parents how to reinforce therapies and strategies, resources for families navigating level 2 autism. Now let's talk about some resources that can make a real difference. So here's a couple really good books, and I will post the links to these books in the show notes. The first book is The Reason I Jumped. This is a profound insight into autism from a perspective of a nonverbal individual. Beyond the Wall, Personal Experiences with Autism and Asperger's Syndrome by Stephen Shore. It's a great resource for understanding sensory and social challenges. Therapies such as occupational therapy. This will help with the sensory processing and developing functional skills, and also getting those primitive reflexes integrated. Speech therapy with a promatic with promatic functions or focus. So work on functioning communication and understanding social language. Some other websites that you guys can reach out to and get some information. They're great websites is Autism Speaks. They offer toolkits and resources for families navigating autism. National Autism Association also provides safety resources that help families and support them. And later episodes we'll be going in deeper into each one of these. There's an app that's called Choice Schedule app. It helps individuals manage their everyday. It's called Choice Works. It is available on iPads. So if your child has an iPad, especially if they're using an AAC device, and this is a good digital visual schedule. They do have a free version, and they also have a one-time purchase one. Another one is a Calm Counter. This helps them regulate and just breathe. This app is great for helping with emotional regulation, and zones of regulation also is a great, and we are going to have a later episode on just zones of regulation and understanding it's okay to have these emotions, but what do we do and when we have these emotions? And that is a wonderful program to help with that. As we wrap up today's episode, here are some key takeaways about level 2 autism. Individuals at the level 2 needs substantial support, but the right strategies, they can achieve a meaningful growth in independence. Dual levels highlight the complexity of autism and crucial to address both areas of the DSM-5 criteria separately and collaborate with your therapists, teachers, and other professionals is essential to creating the support plan that works for you and your child. Again, thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Finding Your Identity in Your Autism Journey. If today's discussion resonated with you, please share it with someone that might benefit. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, including deep dives into Level 3 autism in the next episode. Until next time, remember, you are not alone in this journey. Let's take it one step at a time together. Thank you for tuning in to Finding Your Identity in Your Autism Journey. I hope today's episode inspired you, brought you some clarity, or simply reminding that you are not alone. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and if you enjoyed this conversation, leave a review and share it with someone who might need it. Until next time,